And welcome to this edition of ACAP Today for the week of February 22nd, 2021. I'm Jason Parent with the Aroostook County Action Program. On this week's program, in just a little bit, our feature interview will feature Karen Volle, the project coordinator, and Ed Kloza, the genetics education consultant with the New England Regional Genetics Network. We're going to learn all about the work that they're doing, and specifically the work that they're doing here in Aroostook County and other parts of the region. We'll talk with them in just a little bit, but before we do that, we are first going to turn to this week's news and information that you can use from the Aroostook County Action Program and our community partners. And to begin this week, we will start with telling you that our status does remain that our offices are generally closed to the public across Aroostook County. We do have available access to services remotely throughout the region. We are doing our HEAP appointments by phone, our WIC appointments by phone, and other things over the phone. If you do need to connect with us and drop off paperwork for whatever reason, we are seeing members of the public and greeting them outside of our facilities in Holton, Presque Isle, and in Fort Kent. We do want to encourage you, if you are coming to our Presque Isle office, which is shown here, that we are under construction at this time. We are doing some interior renovations, and as a result, our front entrance is inaccessible at this point, but we have signage pointing you to window service that is available in one of the windows out in front of our building, the one to the furthest west on the front side of our building. Just follow the signage and there will be somebody there to greet you at the window. You can also call the telephone number on the banner at the top of the building, and we will be able to connect with you and maybe even provide curbside service to your vehicle. So please do let us know and how we can connect with you, and we are very much open in providing all of our services at this time just remotely. We do also want to note at this time that our next Homebuyer Education class is coming up. We had a full class back in February or earlier this month. Our next class is March 6th. It's a Saturday. It's an 8-hour course, all conducted virtually. And there are many benefits to enrolling in this class, including some closing cost forgiveness that's done as a result of you participating in the class. We do encourage you to contact Greg Doak, our certified Homeworks instructor, for more information or to register. There's also information on our website, but Greg's telephone number and email are there on your screen, and he'd be happy to help you get registered for the March 6th class. And there will be 5 other classes in the course of this year that we have scheduled, and we'll be sure to let you know about those. And Greg can also fill you in if the March 6th date does not work for you. We also are working with our community right now during the special enrollment period that has been announced as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic by the Biden administration that allows people to get into the insurance marketplace, the open insurance marketplace. We have a navigator that is here available to help you as you navigate the site. They will also be able to help you presumptively determine if you might be eligible for main care services in that call. So if you are in need of healthcare services at this time, there is an open window through the 15th of May where you may enroll through the marketplace. Please call Stan Targonski. He is our healthcare navigator. You can call our main number and we'll connect you with him, but his information is there on your screen. We also want to share with you that we are working very diligently with Maine Housing and other community action agencies across the state of Maine to launch the next iteration of the Emergency Rent Relief Program. We know that a lot of you have been waiting for this program to start. It has been down since the 30th of December, and we are very much looking forward to starting a program sometime in the month of March, it looks at this point, and that will cover arrearages on rent. So if you are behind on your rent, please do hold on, talk to your landlord, inform them that you'll be applying for the rental assistance program. It will be required that you have been economically impacted as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and there will be housing stability services that will be offered as a result to anyone who qualifies for the rental assistance program. There will also be a utility component to this program, and we'll have those details for you as soon as they are finalized and get that information to you. But thank you for your patience on that. If you'd like more information in the interim about the program and anticipated launch dates, continue to look at the mainhousing.org/COVID-rent. That website will provide you with the information. You can also register there for regular updates as they are available that will be sent directly to your email. We are in need of contractors. Our home repair program throughout Aroostook County, as well as our home weatherization program are both looking for qualified contractors at this point. If you are a contractor who has an interest in doing contract work for our agency and working in homes throughout Aroostook County, you can do it regionally in a region of the county that you are more geographically close to. Please do give Shannon Hill a call. She will certainly take your name and walk you through the application process for becoming a qualified contractor with the Aroostook County Action Program. We do anticipate that there will be additional weatherization and home repair work through funding and released as a result of the pandemic that will be available to us over the next few years, and are looking to get as many homes, home repair projects and weatherization projects done as we are allocated in this region. So we do need more contractors. February is National Children's Dental Health Month, and our oral health team that works in schools and early care and education settings and education settings in the community are reminding folks of some tips for good oral health. These are available on our website, and we certainly encourage you to reach out to our oral health team. Our oral health educator is available to do virtual teachings with classrooms, virtual teachings with community groups and the like. We encourage you to reach out to us and connect with us if you need any services, not only this month during Children's Dental Health Month, but at any time of the year. Our community closet, it has a number of coats in it. We have had a relatively long snap of cold weather in the last couple of weeks, the likes of which we hadn't yet seen this season, and we had made it through February. But if you are in need of a coat, a warm coat, or other clothing, our 24/7 community closet located outside but in a sheltered area by our 771 Main Street Presque Isle facility is available for you. It is a take what you need, give what you can opportunity. So if you have clothing that you'd like to drop off to donate for others, you can drop it off 24/7 and our volunteers will sort it and get it hung in the next day. Or if you are in need of a coat or in need of any clothing at any period in the day, you're welcome to visit our community closet 24/7. No questions asked, and you'll be in there doing your shopping, no charge as well, on your own. We also want to let you know as a community that we do have free cloth face masks available. A lot of folks are recommending now double masking, and we don't want to make it a difficulty or a challenge for any folks who need to go out to run errands or do any of the tasks that require you to engage with others in the community. And so while we're reminding you to socially distance, we're also offering free cloth face masks. You can pick them up at our 771 Main Street Presque Isle facility near Walmart, our Holton Military Street facility, or our Industrial Park facility in Fort Kent. We will provide window service for that. If you are unable to get to any of those locations, give us a call and we'll gladly put those in the mail for you and get them out to you. We want to make sure that you're safe. In addition to that, we are reminding our community, those particularly age 70 and older, that there are several vaccination clinics in our community. They are being offered by each of the 4 hospitals in our region, Holton Regional Hospital, Northern Light A.R. Gould Hospital, Cary Medical Center, and Northern Maine Medical Center. Each of them have different protocols, and we encourage you to reach out to your local healthcare provider if you have not heard from them already. If you are age 70 or above, to get your vaccination, they will be glad to answer any questions. There's also more information and a list of all vaccination sites at maine.gov/COVID-19/vaccines. You can find that on the DHHS site as well. And speaking of things that we are offering the community or reminding the community about, we are part of Maine's Workforce Collaborative along with other service providers statewide. And we have collaborated together to offer a number of educational sessions, all offered online for individuals looking to upskill their workforce capabilities or to get into the workforce if you've been laid off and are looking to retool into another profession. These include interviewing tips and tricks, making career choices, resume and cover letter development. They're offered on an ongoing basis, and some of our staff are teaching those classes to participants statewide. Please contact us at the agency. Our workforce development team will be glad to get you connected with these courses. Again, all offered virtually at this time. We also want to remind folks that our home energy assistance program is scheduling appointments. At this time of the year, we're not scheduling too far out. Within 2 weeks, you can typically get an appointment for the HEAT program. We do want to remind folks out there that the income guidelines have changed quite significantly in the last couple of years. So individuals who were not eligible just 3 years ago may be eligible this year. We encourage you to check out the income guidelines on our website. In some cases, depending on the size of your household, the income income guidelines have shifted some 40%. And so there's an allowance for 40% additional income in the household. And we can also look with you at potential expenses like medical expenses that can be deducted from your income that may make you eligible. Now is a great time to apply. We know the winter season is still going to be with us here in Aroostook County for a bit, but we are going to be headed into the warmer days, and we are doing applications through the 15th of July at this point. And the great part about enrolling or registering, applying this time of year is the benefit will remain on your vendor, your fuel vendor's account for up to 18 months or until you use it. So you'll have that balance there when it's time to turn up the thermostat next fall. We also want to let folks know, if you know of anyone who is experiencing homelessness or is challenged with homelessness, we have opened up in a local hotel an overflow shelter in partnership with our local homeless services provider as a result of social distancing and also awaiting COVID test results before folks are allowed to enter into the shelter. We have opened the overflow shelter at a local hotel and are staffing it 24/7 and providing comprehensive case management services at the facility. So if you know of anyone that is challenged with homelessness at this time, have them call the Sister Mary O'Donnell shelter. They will reach out to us and likely place the individuals with us until that a COVID test can be taken and space is available in the local homeless shelter. But don't let anybody go out in the cold, especially with the sub-zero temperatures that we've been experiencing overnight this past week. Please do connect with us on this. And we also are encouraging folks, now that tax season has begun, the Aroostook Cash Coalition, of which ACAP is a member, in partnership with the United Way, and a number of other programs and agencies across Aroostook County. They are offering free tax preparation services to county residents, and it's in a virtual setting this year with the opportunity to drop off your tax documents at the United Way of Aroostook office, and then they will do the appointment with you over the phone and do the tax preparation and get back to you. So please do contact the United Way of Aroostook if you think that you might be eligible for this program. Eligibility guidelines are available on their site, but 764-5197 is how you get in touch with that valuable service. We also want to remind folks of the tobacco prevention, education, and cessation resources that we offer here at the agency. We were talking about this earlier this year as we started a new year, that many people are looking to kick the tobacco habit. If you are a business or organization and want help with your tobacco policies, we offer that and tobacco-free signage free of charge as part of our contract with the state in this work. We also have a tobacco cessation program, and a new session, a new group session is starting up in March, but we also do individualized training sessions and help you access free nicotine replacement therapies and quit kits and other valuable information. Don't do it alone. Give us a call. We'd be happy to help you. And finally, in this week's news and information that you can use, we want to remind you of our Navigator services. We know that there are many individuals and many households that are struggling as a result of the economic concerns of the pandemic. And at this time, we are offering comprehensive Navigator services. So if you don't know where to turn and you know that you're having financial difficulty at this point, please do consider coming to us, giving us a call, and our Navigator can help you determine what services you might be eligible for and connect you with those services, whether they are part of our agency or they are services offered by other agencies. Our navigators are aware of the services that are out there and can help you connect with state government, can help you connect with other agencies, and with all of our basket of programs and services. And with that, that's this week's news and information that you can use. I am very happy now to welcome to the program, representing the New England Regional Genetics Network. We have joining us today both Karen Volle, who is the project coordinator with NERGN, as we call it here. It's the New England Regional Genetics Network, and Ed Kloza, who is the Genetics Education Consultant. And I'm very pleased to welcome you both to the program. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. We're really happy to be here.
Great. So I think for a starter point for folks who are watching here in Aroostook County who may not know what the New England Regional Genetics Network is all about, they'd love to hear that. And so Karen, tell us all about the work that you're doing throughout the region.
Sure, I'd love to. We are actually one of 7 regional genetics networks across the country. So every place in the country has access to this kind of a group. And we're funded by a federal agency called HRSA, Health, I always know Health Resources Services Administration, right?
Yes.
Just to give some background, and all of us are focused on trying to improve health and well-being of people with genetic conditions. And we're also really focused on trying to increase access to genetic conditions. So that's common across the country, but every region does it a little bit differently and develops activities to try to reach that goal. And I think Ed will talk more about that, because one of the way we're really trying to reach that goal is with Aroostook County. So just to, I know that'll be coming up shortly. So I wanted to just share a little bit, if I could, about this is a big story, genetics, and it's kind of a lot to get your head around a bit. But the reason I became involved is because I have a genetic condition in my family, and wanted to be part of the effort to make improvements in what was happening in the science and what was happening with families. So I think that has helped me really understand what other families might be going through, even though every family's experience is going to be different. A lot of us don't think genetics, and for probably most of us, it may not be top of the pile for what we're dealing with. You know, I was thinking about newborn screening. Any parents have had children, so they've experienced newborn screening of their kids in the hospital. And that happened to me, but I wasn't even aware of newborn screening at the time. And I think unless you're one of those parents who gets, you know, a notice that there might be an issue, this just might not be on your radar. But there are actually a lot of people who are affected by rare diseases. And together, it's quite a powerful force. And I think one thing I just want to communicate is that if you are dealing with these issues, that there are people you can reach out to, like Ed, who can help you kind of sort it out. And that might be a long journey, but that you're not alone on that journey. And so I guess I just wanted to share that as kind of setting the stage a little bit for the activities and why we're doing the work.
Great, thank you, Karen. So Ed, let's to Karen's point, let's help make this real for folks in terms of what are some of the genetic conditions that we might be talking about here, so that folks might be able to say, gosh, I can relate to this, or I know someone, or I may have this as the condition. What are you looking at?
Well, there are thousands and thousands of genetic conditions, and many of them, as Karen suggested, are very, very rare and might not be identified by family doctors, primary care doctors, pediatricians, because you don't see enough of them. We are interested in, as Karen said, trying to connect people who need genetic services with genetic services. And I live in Maine, southern Maine, and I'm always amazed at the fact that I could drive to New York City quicker than I could drive to the top of Aroostook County. And having been to Aroostook County many times, I understand that it's difficult for people just to drive down the street and have a ton of medical specialists at their beck and call. If you lived in Portland or Bangor, maybe you have that, but certainly not in Aroostook County. So we're trying to find ways to bring the service. Number one, identify the folks who need it. And to your question, what are some of the conditions that might warrant this? Well, I guess the better way to look at it is if there's something unusual within the family, and we know that the folks that are associated with ACAP, that work for ACAP, are in the community, and they see these families day in and day out, and they are the best folks at being able to maybe pick up on some of these unusual situations that might require consultation with a genetic specialist. If there are a number of similar conditions in a family, that's a tip that it could be genetic. If there are conditions in kids that shouldn't be showing up in kids, they're typically, if kids having a heart issue, we've had kids who had heart attacks as early as 10 or 12 years old because of genetic problems that make it difficult for them to process cholesterol. If there are kids who aren't hitting their developmental milestones, they're not walking at the age they should be, talking, smiling, responding, things like that. Those are kind of the little tips that could mean that there are issues that can be clarified by a geneticist. And the other thing, Jason, is that conversely, there may be folks in the county who think that their child has a genetic disorder, and as a result are kind of afraid to have other kids, when a trip, an evaluation by a geneticist might show, oh no, this was not genetics, this is not likely to recur again, there should be no additional problems going forward. And we also recognize that not only in the county, but people everywhere now have higher priorities than worrying about genetics. Is watching all of the topics that you covered before we came on. It's clothing, shelter, paying your taxes, putting oil in your oil tank. These are the issues that most people worry about. And what we hope to do is, if a genetic issue is part of the collection of worries and concerns that a family has, if we can address that one issue and get it off the plate so that ACAP and the families can address the other things that we don't have any influence on, at least it will help remove one thing from people's list of concerns.
So to that point, Ed, and I think it would be very helpful for people who are listening, where does one start if one suspects that might be the case, to rule in or rule out whether genetics is part of what you might be seeing in a child or you yourself as an adult?
Yeah, and what we are welcoming is, if people have concerns, they can get in touch with NERGN and get in touch with me. I'm a genetic counselor by training, so I am certified to kind of bridge the gap between families who are concerned about genetic disorders and the kind of the clinical world. I'm not a physician. I've got a master's degree in human genetics and genetic counseling, and I kind of bridge that gap. And I can help to kind of sort things out for them. There is, while there are no geneticists per se in Aroostook County, Cary Medical Center has a satellite clinic which is connected via telehealth to the geneticists down in Portland, and there is a regular schedule, so that if in fact there is a need for geneticists to observe someone who has a questionable genetic disorder, that can all be arranged as well. But a lot of this can just kind of, I think, be handled with some general questions, and we can point folks in the right direction.
Great. Now, Karen, Ed did point out that there are many challenges that families are facing, but oftentimes the challenge that your family is facing in the immediate term is the most impressive one and the most important one for you. And so if this is a challenge for your family, if you're, if you want to know, is this happening because of something that is genetically predisposed to, for example, why is that important, and how is the work that the New England Regional Genetics Network focused on helping to raise awareness about this?
I really like that question. I think it's important because you can become more empowered yourself to make your own decisions about this, and the decisions you might make. I'm not in any way saying, and NERGN and Ed is not saying everyone should have genetic testing. In fact, I have not had genetic testing myself, but I've had so much support throughout, and my family members have, in so many different ways, that I wouldn't have gotten if I hadn't put my toe in that first time. And I think you just, it's just an incredible relief to sometimes realize you're not alone in these issues. There's a lot of parents who are dealing with children who have special health needs that that they can learn from. And there are groups like the Family Voices groups that we work with. That's actually the group that led us to ACAP, who help with benefits counseling, school issues, things that are not necessarily genetic services, but helping those kids. What next? What works for this might work for this child, and so I think it's that feeling of cultivating hope. I really hope is the gold target as a family member. So anything that can bring some sense of that, it's going to be a good thing.
Jason, unfortunately, some of the situations, a lot of the situations that we run into are kids who really don't have a diagnosis. So the family knows there's something not quite right, and what's often referred to as a diagnostic odyssey will begin, where you start down the road of examinations and discussions and consultations and testing, and is it this, is it that, is it not this, and that can take months, can take years. And as Karen said, one of the things we also try and do is, if we can't come to a resolution or help the family come to a resolution and a diagnosis, if we can put that family in touch with other families whose kids may not have the same disorder, but they have the same symptoms. They are having difficulty with the educational system. They're having difficulty with insurance claims. They're having difficulty with finding docs who are kind of tuned to alleviating the symptoms. That's very helpful. And we really place a lot of faith in other families, and family-led organizations can provide a tremendous amount of emotional and logistical support, maybe not clinical and medical, but that's extremely important as well.
And you raised the point about use the word same and the similarities. And I think that part of the work, which we're going to sort of transition into talking about the work that you're doing here in Aroostook County, is I think based upon, as I understand it, some of those things that do tie certain communities together and are in common. And those are along cultural lines. A lot of folks don't think of Aroostook County as being that culturally diverse, but when you factor in the fact that we have 2 native tribes, we have a Franco-American community, a community of Swedish descent, the Scots-Irish up in the Allagash, we do have some diversity in this region. And some of that underlying similarity that you might talk about, aside from just being, having a condition in same, some of that does tend to run through cultural lines in terms of genetic things that you can find certain markers. Am I correct on that? Talk to me about that basis of the work.
Yeah, there are ethnic groups in which certain genetic conditions appear more frequently, and it's because the ethnic groups tend to have to marry and have kids within their own culturally identified groups. So it's expected, that's expected to happen. Tay-Sachs disease is one disorder that is associated with the French Canadians. It's also associated with Ashkenazi Jewish populations. It's 2 populations. So that's one thing. When very often when a situation comes up, they'll say, well, gee, do you have French Canadian ancestry? You mentioned the American Indian population. There are diabetes, and so many of these common disorders, diabetes, cancer, high blood pressure, which were in the past thought to be, oh, that's a product of your environment. Well, it's a mix. Almost everything. I mean, there's no disorder that I can think of that does not have a genetic component. So some of these disorders have a stronger genetic component than others. But the trick is to kind of tease out what is genetic and what is not. What can you control and what can't you control? the situation with having the high cholesterol, I think, is also tends to be associated with, to some degree, with the French Canadian population. You can't control the gene, but you can control exercise. You can control eliminating other risk factors for heart disease and stroke, smoking, obesity, things like that. So you can control some things. And in fact, the medical community and the pharmacological community are able to manufacture and design medications and drugs specifically for folks with very specific genetic conditions, so that they can, it's becoming more common now to be able to reverse, using medications, some of the genetic effects.
So Karen, to that point and the work with local ethnic and cultural communities, how is that advising your work in Aroostook County? And talk about the work and the partnership work that New England Regional Genetics Network is doing in Aroostook County.
Actually, Ed, I'm going to throw that to you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, we're delighted to be working with ACAP on this, because again, as I mentioned, Karen's at the University of New Hampshire. I'm down in southern Maine. We don't have any access to the folks that we need to be able to reach. You do. So we are working with ACAP. We're working with Cary Medical Center to be kind of our liaisons up there, to be our feet on the ground in the community in Aroostook County for all of the different populations that you reach. You know where the resources are. You are the resource for a lot of this. You know where the need is. You know the best way to get into the different communities that we would very much like to access. You've got your foot in the door of the healthcare providers, because they, I'm sure, rely on you to help their patients, as you rely on them to see to the medical needs of your clients. So we are developing, and hopefully over the next weeks and months ahead, we'll be able to formalize ways in which we can bring, through you, we can bring services to Aroostook County that they probably didn't realize were available and didn't really have access to before.
I know that since these details are being worked out and the formal rollout is still yet to come, it may be a little inconclusive in terms of what that might look like. But to somebody who's watching this right now and maybe a couple months from now interfaces with somebody, whether it's through ACAP, Cary, or some other source, and oh, that's what they were talking about. What might that look like moving forward? What might someone expect from a contact or a connection with an ACAP or a Cary Medical Center that might be different than they have right now that would relate to this work?
One thing that might be different is we've emailed or mailed a box of bookmarks. You might get a bookmark in your packet that has to do with the GEMS website. And that's one of our really best resources, genetic education materials for school success. So it's a good, super friendly, inclusive website for doctors as well as families and schools. That we're just using that as one kind of a touchstone to start getting the idea of what genetics services might be.
And Jason, just to follow up on that, one of the issues that we hear a lot from with families is the teachers don't understand. The teachers have no idea what my child has. They have no idea what to expect. And that the GEMS resource that Karen was referring to, for several conditions, specific conditions, it talks about, what do you expect from a child's behavior if they have this? What can you expect for them as far as productivity? Will they have are there any medical crises or medical issues you need to be concerned about? Are they going to require extra naps during the day? A lot of things. So this is, and I think we're the only group that does this. We focus so hard on making sure that if a child is in school, that not only do the teachers understand how to best provide for that child's needs, but also to help the other students who may wonder, what's going on with this kid? Why is my buddy so different? It explains it, it gives them tips and resources. And the website, www.negenetics.org, if you get to that, this opens up tons and tons of resources for folks. And the other thing to address your question is, we hope that in the weeks ahead, if through our combined association, a family in Aroostook County says, gee, I think my family kind of qualifies. I've got uncles and cousins got all this same kind of thing, and nobody's ever been able to figure it out, that we would be able to connect that family with their primary care provider and make sure the primary care provider is connected to a geneticist. There are resources that will allow the primary care provider to access genetics expertise in the southern part of the state to help them help that family and to sort things out for them.
Excellent. I figured there would be a role for the primary care provider in that,
Absolutely.
so that's great. Karen, what have we not talked about that you want to make sure gets across, or Ed for that matter, to the people of Aroostook County or others watching this about the fine work that you're doing and that we're going to be doing in partnership together?
I think, again, that I just want to convey that there's so much hope for families dealing with these conditions, known or unknown. And that's the main thing I want to convey. And that if you connect, you can have a little, whether it's with us or with anybody, just reaching out is the important thing.
We understand that for most folks in Aroostook County, genetics is not a big issue, but for that small group of folks where this is either a concern or a reality, this is a big issue for them. And we hope to be able to help those folks by answering their questions, getting them the resources and help that they need.
Well, it certainly fits in with our vision in Aroostook County of making life better. That's our vision statement here with the agency. And to your point, Ed and Karen as well, the knowledge, the information, the awareness, and even the techniques Ed spoke about. If you understand what the condition is and how you can work through the condition and what you can do to mitigate any possible impacts. That makes a huge world of difference, and just the information and knowing what the challenges are. I think you're right. And so that might be a family, if we're talking to families out there, if you're hearing this information, Ed shared the website information. You can also contact our agency. Sherry Locke is our local coordinator for this project, but we have a number of other team members that are being trained to do this work and this awareness effort. So please do reach out to us or use the resources that Ed and Karen have shared with us today.
Thank you.
And Karen, thank you so much. Before we leave all of you today on this week's edition of ACAP Today, we do want to remind you and thank again our guests from the New England Regional Genetics Network. We do want to share with you that if you would like to join our ACAP team, we do have some current openings. We have a career counselor opening, a facilities manager opening, and a program supervisor opening in our HEAP department. We also would encourage you to continue to check out our Indeed location for future openings. We'd love to have you join our team. We also want to remind you that if you want to get in touch with us, and we want you to get in touch with us, please do connect with us. We talked in our news segment, we talked in our feature interview this week about several services and information connections that we have available. Give us a call, email us at info@acap-me.org, reach out to us on our website. We post a lot of valuable information on our website at acap-me.org. And we do have also a Facebook presence that's very active. Our communications and development team is fantastic about keeping information posted there on a wide variety of topics. We also have our YouTube channel where you can view past productions or webisodes of ACAP Today, and we're on Twitter as well. So please do find a way to keep in touch with us, and do keep in touch with us. And as we do each week, we end with our snapshot of the week. We told you it was Children's Dental Health Month earlier. This is our dental hygienist, Lucy Morin, who goes throughout Aroostook County from school to school. She's practicing the appropriate appropriate PPE here to work with a child in a local school district. She also works in all of our early care and education centers and with our community educator to keep the community informed. But she does preventative dental health screenings, and she puts sealants on every third grader in Aroostook County, regardless of income guidelines. And we thank Lucy for her great work and celebrate our oral health team this month with this snapshot of the week. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you to Karen and Ed for the great information that they've shared, and we look forward to connecting with our community members more about the great work of the New England Regional Genetics Network and how ACAP and Cary Medical Center are engaging with them to help keep our community healthy. We will talk to you soon, and we'll see you next week on the next edition of ACAP Today. Thank you all and have a great week.
Thank you.